Nothing's
Yeah,
really
go.
happened to you since October.
Nothing big, nothing
Yep.
important.
How is the being married, Tristan?
That's good.
Taxes will change this year. That's nice.
How's your work going?
I'm the problem with the US job market where I'm taking up multiple jobs that other people can't get so that I can afford to own a house as a
Yeah,
millennial.
and have a
But
life that doesn't suck.
yeah.
As it is, as it
But I am
is.
living the dream.
My wife has to go to the office 4 days a week, and that's
Yeah.
crazy to think that was a thing, much less five.
And then
Anyway.
with commute traffic, like
Oh,
they
yeah.
actually want you there 9 to 5:30 and then cuz I'm in Salt Lake, I leave on the train and I'm working on train internet for the last hour
Yep.
of my job ish with commute time and I'm home before 5.
Good old train internet.
Yeah, it never works, but like
No,
I don't know if someone teamses me, I have my phone, like I
yeah.
answer it, I'm available,
You're online-ish.
or I'm watching
Uh,
Godzilla minus one and realizing that I need to watch it on a bigger screen than my phone.
what a beautiful train ride.
Godzilla minus one last year, I started on the train.
Yeah.
Eraserhead, I was trying to watch a little bit on the train, and folks, I would rather be watching hardcore pornography with someone sitting next to me than some of those
David
images in
Lynch.
Eraserhead. Yeah. Whew.
I've never seen Eraserhead. I'm kind of a slow to Lynch guy. I've been a
That's
little
okay.
slow to watch Twin Peaks and a lot of his other stuff. So why pick Eraserhead? You've never seen it before, right?
No.
Okay. Tell me about Eraserhead and why you started there.
Because I feel like I should. So it's going to be the year of Lynch because he passed away since last
Yeah,
October. Actually,
that's
it
true.
was January of 2025, and so it feels like it's been a long time. But I needed to get a Lynch in here somewhere, and I put it in the first week of my programming because I figured it would be good. And it really was. I was not disappointed. I have also been slow to Lynch. I have
Yeah.
watched Twin Peaks just because I'm a crime procedural on TV junkie. Like I watch the terrible ones and the good ones and the weird ones, and Lynch falls in the weird ones. But like, it's still really freaking good. And I've seen Mulholland Drive, and I've seen a couple more, but Eraserhead is the one that the people that know say falls the most firmly in the horror, like with the body horror elements. And
Hmm.
it is horrifying in a way that most of the things that I will not be watching the other 30 days can accomplish.
So it's like a surrealist. Is it kind of
Yes.
experimental? Do we call it experimental? Is that
It's
too
his it's his first feature film, and
okay?
as I do some half-hearted internet research on it, right? He'd done shorts before this, but in order to make a feature film, they wanted him to tie more of a through story to it and
Yeah.
get it to feature length so it's not just, avant-garde images on film. And yet it still manages to do that in a way that I have never connected. You and I didn't go to film school,
No.
right? We just really like movies. And sometimes that means that we're more generous to really dumb actiony movies. But and also like I've been accused of turning my nose up at things that are supposed to be good and I don't get it.
Yeah.
I got Eraserhead. Like it would go to a
Oh.
still image of something that's just off the wall, like doesn't fit in with the story, or it would cut in the middle of a story to go to just like a scene of this lady with weird makeup dancing on a stage. And it doesn't fit in and it doesn't make sense, but it did make sense to me. And as I kept watching, I kept thinking like this is what A24 thinks that they're doing. Like
Yeah.
when they try to do weird elevated horror that isn't horror but that we want to call horror, really they're trying to do Eraserhead and I have not seen a one that manages to do it like this. Really the
Wow.
original has done it.
And this came out in 1977, is that right?
77. Mm-hmm. Black and
So,
white, so it kind of fools you, and then it's shot in black and white, and it feels like it's placing you in like depression era industrial times. Like it could have easily been shot with the intention to it be the 1930s, but it never. It's not a Marvel movie where it says Chicago 1942, you know, in big font that takes up the whole screen. It starts in, and you just follow this guy with hair that goes up, and that's like the image of the movie. If you don't know what Eraserhead is, right? It's picture this square box faced guy with curly hair that's being pushed up in a tuft, and the backlit perfectly in black and white. That's Eraserhead, and it does body horror too. So the plot of the movie is that this guy has a girlfriend, and as you do, he impregnates her, not intentionally, but that's what happens sometimes. And he finds out that the baby if you can even call it a baby, has already been born prematurely. And then we find out that's not an exaggeration. If you can even call this a baby, it is a monstrosity that ends up in their little apartment, terrorizing them. It truly, this is just it is a movie about a man that wants to have sex and doesn't want to have kids. Like, that is a tale as old as time.
Yep.
And it accomplishes that story. And it also taps into some of the horror that comes with like having a kid and those early months of having a kid where it feels like you have a monster, but also makes it a monster and captures anxieties around that. It does a lot of things in the course of a plot and also has those avant-garde elements as well.
I mean, the poster, or like I guess the hero image,
Mm-hmm.
is iconic. The
Yes.
guy with the crazy little hair. Yeah, I mean the crazy little hair. The
And
crazy
how have I
curly
not done
hair.
this as a Halloween costume, by the way? Like, I have
You have the hair
the
for it.
long hair that it could be teased up that way. And his image, he walks around a little Chaplin-esque where it's
Hmm.
just it's a silent film for the first little bit ish as he's wandering through his environment. And just the way he walks is off-putting too, right? To add to the horror-ish of it. But it's just like a too short black suit with a pocket protector and hair that's teased up terribly. Like, I could do this for Halloween. And it's an iconic image.
And it definitely is. And there'd be a lot of people where you live who would have absolutely no idea
None.
what you were
None.
doing. Even with a crazy little sweaty, wet baby thing. Oh, it's so gross.
Ugh.
Yeah. Does this
Yeah.
make you want to watch more Lynch, or are you good for now?
I mean I might sneak another one into this list as far as October, but once October is over, it makes me more curious about I want to revisit Mulholland Drive. It has now
Yeah.
been like 9 or 10 years since I've seen that one, and I don't remember being super impressed, but also it was Lynch. We started this off saying I started watching this on the train, which for some movies is just a mistake. Especially this one. I watched Mulholland Drive just like in a apartment with a bunch of college kids, and I was
Okay.
on my
Yeah.
phone, and that's probably not how to watch Lynch either, and so I got to revisit that one too.
More to rewatch. I remember Lynch calls this his most spiritual film. And he like says, no one understands when I say it. They're not gonna get it. It's super personal. Maybe you'll get it someday. But this is my most spiritual film.
I
Did
mean,
you
it
see
ends
what
with
made
him.
it?
He kind of like goes to heaven at the end and is embraced
Okay.
by creepy dancing lady. I get it, and it's very much about creation of life and end of life. He the most body horror, graphical element is it looks like whenever he rips away the swaddling of this baby, where you
Hmm.
normally only see this deformed head, he cuts away the swaddling, and you realize that's actually part of its skin too. So as he pulls
Oh.
away the bandages, you just see internal organs like you have them on a dissection table in middle school science class. And after being tormented by the idea that he has to be a father and all the things that he's missing out on and all the screaming and the anxiety that this thing has given him for the past duration of the movie, he takes the scissors and he stabs the baby and
Oh,
kills it.
wow.
And so it's creation of life, end of life, and then he kind of ascends to the astral plane and embraces this person that they've never interacted. And you know, it is this is the way to be up for interpretation, where you truly can come to it at any part in your life and read something different into it, where we shouldn't have one-to-one comparisons to what this should mean, but you can take a lot of meaning out of it. It makes sense. He
Makes
would he
sense.
would call it spiritual, and also it doesn't make sense from beginning to end, but that's cool.
Perfectly David Lynch, start
Yeah,
to finish.
I liked it.
So this was your first movie of 2025 for your 31 days of Halloween.
Actually, so that was Thursday. Halloween, let's go back now. So
Okay.
we've jumped in. David Lynch. Hi Tristan, how are
Just
you? My name's Cole.
so good. If everyone doesn't know what's going on, we'll have it linked in the show notes. Go listen to last year's episode.
Yeah, yeah. This is the first episode. We have fewer movies to talk about because it's going to be released on October 3rd, which means I've got three. From
Okay.
this point on, we're going to release every week, and I'll have, 7 movies. I'll just go like, on the 4th, I watched this. On the 5th, I
Mhm.
watched this. But today we can kind of introduce the topic too, where for a while now, I've been on my own. And then also when I had a job reviewing movies and when I wrote for a magazine with Tristan and now a podcast
Good job.
talking about movies, I just watched 31 movies in October. And I mostly don't pick them ahead of time. I just go where the winds take me. I have some themes that run through from year to year. And for years and years of me doing. We're out of college now. I've been doing this for more than 10 years because for quite some time, I started every October on October 1st watching one more movie in the Halloween franchise. I started with Halloween, the first one, 1978, the year after Eraserhead, by the way. And then I watched Halloween 2 and then Season of the Witch and so on and so forth. And some of those were really bad and some of them were some of the best horror that we've ever seen. And eventually I watched the second Rob Zombie one, and I'd already seen the three remakes during the course of other Halloweens, like since I started, 2018 and so on. And so last year I finished all the Halloweens. And so I needed a new franchise to start on October 1st with. And last year on October 2nd, I introduced that to be Saw, which,
Mhm.
if it's not my favorite, it's in my top three of horror franchises of all time. And it represents Halloween and October to our generation the way that none of those other more iconicer slashers have.
Yeah.
I did a little research for you, Tristan.
Ooh.
The Saw franchise is 10 movies in, and across those 10 movies, 8 of them have been released in October. It was just starting
Wow.
with that first one in 2004. They were just doing it every year from '04 to 10. It was going to be released in October. Every year you could go see a Saw movie. The the slashers of all time, including the franchise that's called Halloween, did not even have that kind of consistency. The Halloween franchise only released 8 out of their 13 movies in the
Wow.
month of October. One of the 9 Nightmare on Elm Street movies was released in October. None of the Friday the 13ths. That was like, people that grew up with it know that that's a summer movie, but like our younger generation that didn't see them coming out every single year, we kind of associate October. I do, at least. This is why I do what I do. I associate October with horror movies, and this is when
Yeah.
you release the horror franchises. None of the Friday the 13th, even the remakes, were released in October. None of the 12. So across the three, like, trinity of horror slashers, they have 9 total movies that were released in October. Saw has 8. And so Saw, for our generation, and really changing the way that we release and in the business talk about horror movies in October, they are the October franchise. So I am bringing Saw into this. I watched Saw 1 last year, and so this year on October 1st, that being the long preamble to, on October 1st, I watched Saw 2, and it's good.
And it's good. I mean, you knowing the arc of all these movies, were
Yes.
you excited to start and watch them in sequential order? Would you prefer to do them out of order?
There was one of the earlier Halloween marathons that I did. I actually watched like the first 7 just in a week
Oh,
to watch
wow.
them day after day, because they connect and they pick up right after one after another
Oh, that's
for a
awesome.
lot of these first ones. So it is helpful to know the chronology that they're trying to go for. And so, yeah, I'm very excited to be able to. It's a little bit slower where I have to watch it one every year, but that's how they
Yeah.
were released too. And I've watched these now enough that I do remember where they're going. And so I can keep track of it. But yeah, Saw 1 left off with game over. And he closed the door. And then this one ends the same way, right? We're getting all the callbacks. We had, the girl from the reverse bear trap in the first one that comes back in this one. Saw 2 is actually really the movie that introduces the idea that we're just going to stick like 6 strangers into a room and see what happens. Saw 1, it was just the 2 guys. It was Carrie Ellis and Lee Whannell,
Hmm.
the writer, with just some fantastic bad horror acting by a non-actor. Anyway, it was just those 2 guys in a room, and then we would have flashbacks and flash sidewayses, and to
Yeah.
see all the other Saw things that had happened, in this more crime-driven, like Seven inspired movie that the
Okay.
first one was. Now in Saw 2, they're really exploring that this torture porn, this is going to be a genre that we invent and that
Wow.
we're figuring out our own thing. They were very inspired by stuff in Saw 1. Saw 2 is where it starts to become its own genre in and among itself. And they figure out their trappings. And I think Saw 2 is my favorite one.
I
It's
mean,
still,
Donnie
it's got a,
Wahlberg.
Donnie Wahlberg is in it. The twist at the end, they had a big twist at the end of the first one, so it feels like you got to do a twist at the end of this one.
Hmm.
And it's done very, very well. Spoiler for a 20-year-old movie, but all of the events that we were seeing with these 6 strangers that kill each other or die to the saw traps and whatever, that already happened, like maybe earlier that day or a day ago. And even though we're seeing things like Donnie Wahlberg's a cop trying to find his son, we see these events like they're happening simultaneously because they're watching video monitors
Hmm.
of the six people in the saw traps. Really, those six people in the saw traps already happened. And so at the end, when Donnie Wahlberg's freaking out trying to find his son was safe the whole time. Just like Jigsaw told him, all you have to do is sit down and talk to me, and you will see your son in 4 hours. But because Donnie Wahlberg was so concerned about these things that had already happened, he drug Jigsaw out, John Kramer, made him show, where's the building, where are we at? And Donnie Wahlberg ends this being trapped in a saw trap himself. And so tune in next year where we pick right up and Donnie Wahlberg in Saw 3, we started off. See what's going to happen.
Crazy to me, these movies were such a cultural touchstone.
Were you watching them in '04 through 2010 when we were in middle school and high school, the prime audience for Saw movies, Tristan?
I only saw them in bits and pieces at people's houses because I was like, I don't do
That's
this.
fine.
Not for me. But I remember like every channel had a ton of Saw commercials. The posters were everywhere. Everyone was going to see them,
Mm-hmm.
myself excluded. On a $4 million budget is the part that kills me. It's
Yeah.
just like this is what Blumhouse is trying to continue, and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, he's reinvented." It's like, no, no, no. The 2000s were full of this stuff.
Blair
Four
Witch
million
comes out in
dollar,
'99 and is the most
yeah,
profitable at the time. Then Saw does it on micro budgets, and then Paranormal Activity, which
really blows up.
I think we'll get to. I think this is going to be the year that I finally dip my toes into that little phenomenon too.
Ooh, a little
Teaser.
paranormal time. Teaser, teaser.
That
All
is, I
right,
think Paranormal is still the most profitable movie of all time
I
because
think you're
its
right.
box office outdid Blair Witch, but for a similar budget.
Which is, yeah, again, crazy when you like think about the logistics of it, but also if it's a fun movie that really grabs audiences, then how can you even be mad?
And then you make six more of them or whatever.
Buku bucks. Yeah, so Saw 2, not adjusted for inflation, $4 million budget, worldwide 152, almost $153 million. That's fantastic. And a short runtime, 93 minutes. Easy to watch.
Oh
Easy
yes,
to watch.
all of these. I don't think there's going to be a Saw. I think Spiral from the Book of Saw
Hmm.
probably ruined. I think that's without having it in front of me. That feels
Hmm.
like that would have been the longest one, but yeah, Saw knew what it was doing.
Saw October 1, and then you move to Eraserhead on the train.
Eraserhead on the second. I started on the train. I realized this was not the move. But also when I paused it, at pretty early on, and then I would go home and watch it later that day. But I realized how fast my heart was beating. If we judge
Oh,
horror, and we're going to get into this during the course of this year too, of like what I call horror and what I'll watch. If I'm going to watch 31 movies, they're just Halloween coded movies. Some of
yeah.
it, it's going to be like The Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown with my 2-year-old sometimes, and it's going to be Saw sometimes. It's going to be 80s slashers sometimes. It's going to be like serious 90s thrillers like Silence of the Lambs or Seven, like I mentioned. Sometimes like anything that reaches out and touches on horror a little bit, I'll count. So like Eraserhead totally checked that box. I got no problem genre bending to get that in there. But also if we just judge horror by how it makes you feel on the inside, right? The definition of porn is I know it when I see it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
If I know it when I see it, if I know it when I feel my heart start going, and me who is the only millennial in existence that does not have crippling anxiety, right? I have depression, it's the other one.
Uh-huh.
But I don't have anxiety, but I had anxiety watching that movie and my heart was going like I should.
Wow.
It checks
That's a
the
good
box
sign.
of horror for sure.
Yep. Well, what did you wrap out the week with then? What's number three?
A new release. I'm going to weave in some
Ooh.
2025 movies too. Some, when I was reviewing movies really like religiously, I would go and see everything like as it came
Yeah.
out too. But now I kind of have a little bit of a leeway to save some of the new horrors that happened earlier in the year for my October marathon. So I watched Michael B. Jordan in Sinners today.
Double Michael B. Jordan.
Two of them.
Now,
So good.
I just rewatched this. I went to a press re-screening, brought
Okay.
two of my friends. We're gonna have a little review up again soon. You know, when movies come out early in the year, but they want them to be more relevant for the award season, they bring out all the press. So I was in the
Mm-hmm.
early rounds. It was like, you have a podcast, you have a little website. Okay, cool.
We'll
You're
take it
invited to this one. Little tiny screening room in Beverly Hills, some building that's just honestly an office building, but has a screening room there.
because it's LA, man. I love your
Because
town.
it's LA. I parked and I was like, lawyers, accountants, screening room. Love it.
Yeah.
So I had seen it at home the first time, in theaters the second time. And I'm excited to talk about it with you because I'm going to talk about it again in a couple weeks, but also
Yes.
just like, what a movie. What a movie.
I watched this on HBO Max, which is where it is available now. And wow, it just moves in the first half of this movie as we're setting it up before we get even a taste of vampires and horror or whatever it's going to go to. This is you're a big oh brother where art thou man.
Oh,
Like it
yeah.
just puts you down in that time and we chug, right? There's a voiceover during transitions. It just there's so sometimes and again, fortunately I've watched 3 movies, 2 that are critically very good and Saw,
Hmm.
which I just happen to love. But as I'm going to watch 31 movies in 31 days, some of them are going to be bad. Right. And
Yeah.
so there's going to be a breath of, especially in the horror genre, maybe one could say. And so it's going to be nice to get breath of fresh airs of movies that are like really crafted well. So the fact that I got Eraserhead and Sinners in like 2 of my first 3 days, this was a well crafted movie. Ryan Coogler,
Yeah.
I'm not breaking any news here to people, but like he knows what he's doing behind a camera. And it just, yeah, the way that he would transition from one scene to another, even,
Yeah,
we take it for granted sometimes going to see movies. There are technically better ones out there than others. And
for sure.
I felt it in this that I was watching from the get go a good movie. And then it got to be a horror movie like halfway through. There's killing vampires. Cool.
Yep. I wish I had seen it opening night with zero background and just gone in because I would have been really surprised.
Mm-hmm.
Even then, knowing the twist and not even the twist, knowing the reveal and everything else that was going to go on from all the TikToks and friends talking about it, it still paid off. And I
Yeah.
was worried about the rewatch value. So I was like, oh, is it going to be good to watch it a second time? Am I going to be bored? No, it still pays off and you're fine to rewatch it because it's so well done, it's so well shot, it's so well acted. It doesn't feel like a drag. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't feel like, oh, we know the monster's coming. It's like, no, uh-uh. You're going to notice something different. You're still going to get back into it, the way in which it moves. Like you said, the pacing, it
Mm-hmm.
keeps you with it, which is hard to say for some of these big reveal movies that come out.
And yeah, I wouldn't be watching it in October if I didn't know that there were going to be vampires in
Yeah.
this movie, right? Because it does
Yep.
start, and if anything, I can be like a little bit critical. This isn't a five-star movie. It's really good, but it's
Yeah.
not my favorite of the year yet because it does kind of shortchange the monsters by the time we get to the end. The first half was so good that I was like, okay, Ryan Coogler, did you just want to make like these 2 cool guys that come back to the South and are
Yeah.
gonna like exact some vengeance on some racists? Like I would watch just this movie.
Yep.
But then we get like a little bit of taste of vampires, and then we get one honestly quite short and a little bit disappointing like vampire fighting scene. You know, I was expecting levels of Kingsman in the church or just like John Wick or something where we're going crazy, and it doesn't get there, and
Yeah.
it's over before you realize it started. And then the post credit scene that really shouldn't have been a post credit, but like obviously that feels like studio interference where every movie's
Yeah.
got to have a post credit scene, even if we're not doing comic book heroes. Like I could have just had that in the movie, right?
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
and so that all kind of like fell apart a little bit, but it was still just such a good movie at the first half, and we got so much of the stuff that I liked. I don't know if like I go into movies like I try to be really no expectations. I avoid
Hmm.
trailers. I avoid online discourse as much as I can. So I've been interested talking to people now that I've seen it about what their expectations were. Like you're saying, so talk to me. Tell me more about like where your head was at and where what you knew or what you thought was coming, and I'll
Knowing my
contrast
friends,
it.
and I'm about to have a conversation with them, I know I'm going to get roasted by these two because
All
they
right,
both think it's contender for Best Picture. Both of them
it's
like Best Movie of the
not.
Year, Best Picture. And I really loved it, but I don't think it's there for me personally either. I was thrown off by a few of the conversations in which people were like, oh, yeah, Sinners, it's actually a musical. What? Like,
There
it's a
is
musical. There's a
the
musical
best
number.
scene of music in the
Uh-huh.
past 5 years in this
Yeah.
movie, but
But,
it's again, Oh Brother Where Art Thou is a little bit of an inspiration. It's Oh Brother Where Art Thou meets From Dusk to Dawn in my mind, where we do like start with these 2 normal people and
yeah.
they walk into a old style place and there's happen to be vampires there, and we get that sort of element, and it's quick paced and it's witty the way From Dusk to Dawn is, and it has like a core music and that time period of Brother Where Art Thou, but it's not. It's
No.
certainly not a musical the way that you would call that, and it's not enough of a vampire movie the way you would call Dusk to Dawn either. Really.
Yeah, I found it a little strange because I think people were trying to either play it up or play it down. It's not
Yeah.
Tick Tick Boom, you know? Like we're not sitting here watching like, and now we're into a musical.
Stage. Yeah.
It was the music was a part of the movie and the plot line of the story, so therefore it was in there and featured. Cool. More.
Done really, really well. It
And it was
didn't have
done
to be a
super well.
musical. It was so good.
I think both musical numbers, or all of them, were
Yeah.
fantastic. When the singer's up there stomping and clapping and the pale moon, oh my gosh, like
Hmm.
beautiful. And I like that Ryan Coogler took it in such a artistic and spiritual way of like you play this music and the spirits of all these different ancestors come back and different people. It was fun. It was really
Yeah,
fun and beautiful.
progenitors and both directions. We get,
Yeah.
this thing that takes place in the old West, and we get modern musicians coming to join the party too.
And fun lore.
Hmm.
Now, I will say this. I had a friend point this out, and I was like, oh, I think I kind of agree. Like you said, the first half and the setup is so fantastic and well
Hmm.
done. And you're like, I want to be part of this town. I don't know what's coming next, but I'm excited.
Yeah.
It does feel a little like by the time the vampires attack, we've forgotten and lost all of that.
Yeah.
And we're just kind of like, that was one movie. We're in a different movie now, which is fine. And it does feel a little weird to have so much set up and town folk and the rest of it for what turns out to be a kind of quick battle, you know?
Hmm.
Like there's some attacks and killings, a lot of people are bitten off screen, and then it's like one attack on this granary, whatever,
Hmm.
juke joint. Yeah, you're right, juke joint. And then it's kind of done. And we're like, well, I don't know. I almost wish it was split up a little more, or he would have followed that one direction further. I wanted to see more of the Native Americans hunting down vampires. I thought that was
Yeah.
fantastic. They never came back, which is fine. They did their piece. But yeah, I'm kind of like, with a couple movies in one movie, and I don't know, like you said, if it's 5 star by any means,
Hmm.
but it's still fantastic and great and done so well. You can't help but watch it.
It's been out for long enough that we can get a little bit of spoilers too,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Michael B. Jordan and Michael B. Jordan, they're twins.
Love that.
And so Michael B. Jordan is about to kill vampire Michael B. Jordan,
Yeah.
but then it goes off screen, and it does it tastefully, like in a way that it's
Yeah.
not really, really obvious that, okay, he's not going to go through with this. But like to a savvy movie audience, I I figured he didn't do it, right? I figured
Yeah.
we'd see vampire Michael B. Jordan again. And honestly, when the racists come to the juke joint the next day,
Hmm.
I was waiting for human Michael B. Jordan to walk up to the door and swing open the doors so we can get one more like action sequence of vampires. So
Yeah.
vampire Michael B. Jordan comes out and like kills the racists. But
Hmm.
instead it's just human Michael B. Jordan that takes a gun and kills the racists. So the racists die either way, so it's a good movie. But like I could have used a little bit more of it because I still hadn't gotten my fix of vampire action. And
Yeah.
this is a little bit me. Like I prefer genre movies,
Yeah.
and not every movie has to like fit my expectations, but you did like, yeah, I think the flaw in this is it never blended the two because it didn't fulfill its own expectations either, in my opinion. But it's still like, great.
It feels like a millennial burger joint, you know, like you know what you're
Oof.
getting, kind
That
of.
that makes it sound worse than it is, maybe.
You're right, right. Let's roll that back a little bit. It feels like I can't even say a hybrid car. Regardless, it's just a little bit too mixed in there of like,
Yeah.
we have so much lore, but also we want to throw vampires. Okay, I mean they didn't set up all of the vampire rules. You just kind of expected to know certain ones, and the others they kind of gave you some help on.
Yeah.
The fact that the witch doctor lady was like, "Oh, I think these are a hate. They hate.
Yes, because it's HAIT, but it's
Yeah,
just
hates."
pronounced hate. Yeah.
And then later she's like, "No, these aren't hates. These are vampires." Oh my gosh, I've never run into one. And we have a little bit of like clunky exposition, like we have
Hmm.
to say that they don't know how to beat them. They're eating garlic, and okay, I
That
get
was
it. You
from
have
the right out of
vampires.
the thing, right? Okay, let's test and see if you're one of them. And
Yeah, there were some of those moments where I was like, this feels both forced and like we're just spending time. You know, like, oh, could we do something else? We're just spending time. Even down to the shop owner screaming, come on in. I was like, okay, I guess that's how you get them in the door. Fine, cool.
yeah,
I felt like they panned themselves into some corners they had to use some crazy logic to get themselves out of.
that's
But
fair.
again, that said, beautiful. I'm so glad you mentioned Oh Brother Where Art Thou because I was like, is this going to seem too Tristan of me to, of course, bring up my favorite movie?
Right, right.
But watching it, you do feel like you're completely transported into that Depression era, 20s,
Hmm.
30s, early America, and it's fun. It's fun to be there, and I wish we had more movies there that were saying something or showing us something cool.
And it did. Like it managed, even as it fumbled getting us there in the end, it absolutely accomplished, right?
Yeah.
Buying into the lore and believing that music has this supernatural power. And also, especially vampire stories, very, very rare. I've seen a lot of horror movies. This is the one that I can immediately think of that just spits in Christianity's face. Like normally we're holding a cross up to it, and
Oh yeah.
this was very much like, no, y'all don't understand what like is really going on here when you think it is that way. And it's using the music as the power was
Yeah.
just really good, and yet they still use some of like the more classic vampire killing methods.
You're
So
right.
very, very good. Like I had no problems, we are in a 2025, and we honestly have been saying this for 10 stinking years, where CinemaSins wants to rip into and say, no, that's not exactly how you're supposed to do it. And
Yeah.
I think that they checked their boxes of they built up their lore and they obeyed what they were doing. Like I don't
Yeah.
need every vampire to be exactly the way that Dracula is or Nosferatu. Like
Hmm.
it established its rules and it kept its rules perfectly in an unimpeachable way. And I'm not even one that really cares about that kind of stuff either. Like if you're taking me
Yeah.
on a good ride, I'm in for it.
And it was a good
Yeah,
ride.
and it was a good
And
ride.
it's hard not to smile while watching this movie, even the
Yeah,
second plus time. You're just like, oh my gosh. I mean, between the music and the action
the
and the witty
devil, the first
writing.
vampire jumping onto the screen with
Oh
just that
yeah.
barren wasteland, one log house out there,
Yeah.
just one little farmstead. Absolutely, just images that will stay with me whenever I think sometimes when I'm watching 2025 movie like new releases,
Hmm.
what's the image that's going to be in that 7 minute mashup I watch at the end of the year of like all the
Yeah.
cool movies put to music, and there's a lot of freaking good Sinners images that we're going to remember from 2025 in it.
Not the least of which is Haley Steinfeld spitting into Michael B. Jordan's mouth.
Yeah, how did we make it this far into a Sinners conversation
I
and not
mean,
mentioning Josh Allen's wife?
whoa. Josh Allen's wife out there doing it all. Yeah, and I think some folks might be, depending on who our listeners are, some folks might have not seen this movie because they felt it was politically charged with maybe something else around there, or it's too scary. I'm going to say that the jump scares at the beginning feel unnecessary, but they're fun.
Yeah, yeah,
Between the snake and come with the quick cuts at the very beginning of the movie that are
yeah.
like
It's
vampire, vampire. Oh, that's kind of scary. But past that, like in the actual movie, I still jumped a few times knowing where some of these things were coming, and my friend was cracking up. But I'll say it's fun. You can't help but smile by the time it's done. What a movie. Thanks for the ride. Like you said, the mid-credits scene, whether or not it was necessary or not, who knows? It was a little silly. Okay, fine.
my wife literally left to pee at
Yeah.
the end of this movie because at the end of a movie sometimes you gotta do your business. And I started watching it, and then I realized, oh, this is like a real. This isn't just
Yeah.
like a dumb teaser joke thing. This is more movie
Yeah.
that we just had to watch through some credits to get to. I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna go back. Let her come back to the living room.
You are just going to get a little title card. Vampire Michael B.
Uh,
Jordan will return.
that's what it felt like.
It did feel
That's
like
the
that.
real Blade. The friends we made along the way, right? If we're never gonna
Yeah.
get Mahershala Ali.
We might as well take this. All right. Well, you know what, sinners? What a good way to wrap up or to get to the third day of your
Mm-hmm.
31 days of Halloween. Can
28 to go.
can
Let's
you
go.
tease any titles you're excited for, or directors, or other themes, things that we might not expect in your next 28 days?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I have some talk about boxes that movies try to check. Whenever I build out my 31 days, I try not to like anchor myself too much to certain things, but I always
Hmm.
get a Hitchcock or two. The 31st day is always Psycho, which is
Oh yeah.
personally my favorite movie of all time. And I think that it just has stood the test of time over and over and becomes more prescient all the time. And the acting is still wonderful. Right. So I'm going to get
Yeah.
to Psycho by October 31st, by Halloween Day. And I'm going to watch another Hitchcock at some point. I'm going to watch a couple more 2024 or 2025 is the year that we're in right now.
Hmm.
I'm going to watch some 2025 movies. There's some on Netflix, even like The Thursday Murder Club, based on a book. My
Oh
wife is a
yeah.
big reader.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch that one maybe this week. Getting ready for Wake Up Dead Man, hopefully, to come out in like December or whenever that happens. So even like murder mysteries, they count for this. Hitchcock counts for this. I'm gonna get a Universal monster movie always. I'm gonna hit that 80s slasher well pretty heavily. Maybe get back to Nightmare on Elm Street or one of the like iconic classics this year.
Yeah.
That's some of the stuff.
Already some good movies you mentioned. For everyone who's listening and wants to watch horror movies, Halloween movies, Cole's movies, we're going to have those listed in the show notes, and we'll be back every Friday through the 31st
Mm-hmm.
with more movies, more discussion, and of course, everywhere you can watch them so you don't go a weekend without more horror movies.
Good little primer
Until
for you to get ready and just to get some good watches. We'll try to prepare you.
tis the season. Tis the season. Get a little Halloween cheer in you. And until next week, watch good movies and TV.